Honorable Manduku's statement that this review of boundaries will only benefit Mount Kenya. Oh, yeah. I mean, we must move as a country. We must move away from the narrative that when Mount Kenya benefits, then the rest of Kenya, loses.
Let me tell
I
you,
mean, please give me my time because I give you had your time.
Let me cut him short.
You will still come in,
Fred, today.
Okay, why don't you allow me to constitute my...
In the road sector, 650 billion shillings worth of roads. 310 are in 3 counties of Mount Kenya.
Okay.
That is what you're talking about.
Why don't you allow me? Why doesn't he allow me?
We must address the inequality.
Let's allow the senator.
To prosecute my arguments.
It's your time.
Then he will come.
It is your time.
Of course,
it is your time.
Against my argument.
It is your time.
I must be given time.
It is your time.
Of course, also to argue out my point.
It is your time.
So what I wanted to say is that we cannot, as a country, make it like a policy that any time Mount Kenya benefits, then it hurts the rest of Kenya. I mean, that is not the right thing to do. But let me explain. Of course, he'll come with his numbers, but let me explain. I think we need to differentiate between 2 things. Honorable Manduku, even in his interjection, is interjecting about resources. But we should differentiate between resources and representation. I think I'm willing and ready to discuss about land mass vis-a-vis population when it comes to resource distribution. But when it comes to representation, we are representing people. And everybody must agree about that. I'm ready to discuss, and I know I'm repeating this, about distribution of resources. Do we distribute resources based on population only, or do we also look at the land mass? That is a discussion that anybody who thinks well of Kenya should be ready to have. Yes. But we cannot sit here and say that as long as Mount Kenya will get more representation, then it is not good for the country. Representation is about numbers. Okay. So if, and I know Honorable Manduku has interjected about the resources, let's discuss resources as, distribution of resources as something different from representation.
Well, we cannot be based on the same metrics. If at all,
we cannot continue. Let me just finish. We cannot continue having constituencies with over 300 people while we have others with about 30,000-40,000 people, and we say that because these 300,000 people in one constituency is in Mount Kenya, then nobody should touch that. I mean, that is something that any progressive Kenyan and anybody who looks at themselves as Kenyans and not as people from a particular community should not do.
Is this the debate we're trying to avoid before 2027? Because I can see how emotive it is getting.
Resources are allocated in the National Assembly. Budget making is a preserve of the National Assembly. We get things moving by voting. When you have got more people from one region, then the vote will always go their way. What we are saying is this, Fred. Look at the road sector. I'm giving you an example, practical example today. 650 billion shillings worth of roads today, ongoing. 310. Murang'a, Nyeri, Kirinyaga, 3. Half the resources of the road sector are in Mount Kenya. And when we go to Parliament, we are told, you know what? Those roads were contracted during Uhuru Kenyatta's time. You guys from Western Kenya, wait, there are no roads until these ones are done. We are talking about historical injustices here. We must address those before we talk about one man, one vote, one shilling.
So my question was,
previously,
will we ever get to a point where we're comfortable
with
this discussion?
We will get there, yes, but not now. Not in our lifetime. I can tell you that. We must address the issues that Jomo Kenyatta brought, what Kibaki perpetuated, and what Uhuru Kenyatta perfected.
Okay.
We have had an unequal representation. Go to my constituency today. 30% electricity connectivity. Go to his constituency or his county. 95% connectivity. What are you telling me about, Fred?
Okay.
We are not going to have boundaries review until all those things are equal. We must have an affirmative action first.
Whether or not it is in the Constitution.
It doesn't matter.
So, Fred, let me tell you, I wrote a book called Solomonic Economics. So this book says it's about separation of these 2 women who are fighting. Where there's woman on the left and on the right.
Are you calling me a woman?
Yes.
But anyway,
I understand.